I'm Hillary Hendershot, your host, and this is Profit Boss Radio, episode 107. Profit Boss Radio is your weekly wealth mastermind. Profit Boss is also a community and a movement for women who are ready to take control of their money, break the glass ceiling, and give ourselves permission to finally have enough. Want the secrets of wealth to be yours? This is the place. I'm Hillary Hendershot. I'm a certified financial planner running a leading advisory firm for women, and I'm sharing with you real stories from real life and real women who are making it happen. Forget Wall Street. Let's do this, ladies. Hey, Profit Boss. I have Rachel here with me, and she and I are going to do a little mailbag for you. We've got lots of questions coming in, and then you should stay tuned after this Q&A session for a brief interview, just a 10-minute interview with Jill Gonzales of WalletHub on the best airlines rewards program. So if you're wondering which airline you should give your loyalty to, we'll answer those questions in the next segment. So just hang out. But first, I want to welcome Rachel.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hi, all the way from Arizona. Nice to have you.
Yes, it's getting hot.
So, Rachel, you suggested actually an idea for a special Mother's Day episode, and I took it and ran with it. And it's one of those things where it's turning out to be way more special and meaningful than I could even have imagined. So thanks for the suggestion.
You got it. I've heard some of the segments and they are phenomenal. I'm excited.
Yeah. So we had a pitch come in from a mother-daughter team, and Rachel said, why don't you do something for Mother's Day? And that mother-daughter team didn't even end up booking in time. But what I did was I reached out to a bunch of my entrepreneur mom friends. So they have businesses and they have kids or kid, and they're sending in short recordings of themselves talking about what's meaningful about Mother's Day for them, how they make special time for their children, the legacy and lessons they want their kids to get from them. And it's a tearjerker.
I know. I love it.
All right. You want to take it away with some questions?
You got it. All right. Our first question came from the Profit Boss Facebook group, and it is from Karen. And the question is, do you have any insight on what to do when your parents have a fixed mindset with money and you just know that they won't have enough money to retire? I just feel like as they get older, they won't have enough money to support themselves, and I'm afraid this burden will fall on me. I hate the thought of this because I've worked so hard to earn, save, and invest the money I have. Does anyone else have any experience like this?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I do have some thoughts. And I actually talked about this at Profit Boss Live because it's kind of a delicate subject. But the thing about people who don't have productive or have negative money operating systems is that you can't help them unless they want to be helped. And if you've read a book I've talked about a few times on this podcast, which is called The 7 Stages of Money Maturity by George Kinder, you know that the first stage of money maturity is innocence. And we probably all start in innocence. And some people never get out of innocence. And I have had people in my office many times who have built wealth and are working with me in my practice and have parents that are in the same situation. And unfortunately, if you've talked to your parents about it and if they don't budge, or, you don't hear, you don't see different actions or different results coming from them, unfortunately, there just isn't much you can do. It's like, anything. I mean, I don't know, try being in a relationship with someone and you want them to lose weight and they're happy with where they're at. That's not a good situation. If you start buying them gym memberships, right, the quality of the relationship is going to go down. And it's the same with money. If you try to tell your parents you should be doing blah, 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 and they don't want to hear it, then it's like noise to them. So then the other part of that is that Karen thinks she might be responsible for taking care of them. And I completely get it. That's kind of devastating to feel like you've worked your whole life and saved all this money, and each dollar saved is a dollar hard earned. And yet you might be financially responsible for family members, especially your parents who raised you. And you're not sure that you want to do that. You feel like they should support themselves. They brought you into this world and they released you into a world where life is expensive and they shouldn't suck it back from you. And I completely get it. I don't know any children who support their parents that don't have mixed feelings about it. So Karen, I really have compassion for your situation. There is no right answer. You may decide that if you aren't going to financially fund your parents, that you want to start letting them know that now in graceful, kind ways. You know, you have a life to live. You have maybe kids to support, and your money isn't going to flow up. It's going to flow down. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is no right answer. It would be great if you could have a trusted advisory team, maybe a financial advisor who's supportive of you, potentially a wealth mastermind, a group of girlfriends who may be in the same situation so that you can talk and feel supported. But just know that, no matter which choice you make, it may feel tough and that you can come to peace with it eventually. And I hope that you do. And I'm sorry I didn't have better news about fixing your parents' money life.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I'm not in that situation. I don't think you are either, Rach, are you?
I'm not. My parents are dealing with it on their end, where their parents are in their late 80s, and my grandma's turning 94 this year, my mom's mom. And it's interesting to see the different qualities of life from the financial decisions that each of those parental units have made. My mom's mom has a completely different quality of life than my dad's mom. And, they've kind of had to set some boundaries there of their own, because they do have things that they want to do with their kids and their grandkids that they can't really financially support my dad's mom. So it's hard. It's an emotional decision, and it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to watch people get old and maybe sick and then not have the resources that they need. So far, all four of my parents, mother, stepfather, father, stepmother, are self-sustaining. Let's hope it stays that way.
Definitely.
All right, next cue.
All right, we've got Chrissy, who is also from the ProfitBoss Facebook group. And her question is, in the last 3 years, Dow Jones had a better improvement than other index funds. In 2018, Dow Jones index funds value dropped more than other funds. Are these two facts reasonable enough to buy Dow Jones index fund at the moment?
Okay, so I want to address Chrissy's question. I actually responded to it in the Facebook group, but it was such a good question that I wanted to address it on the podcast. So what she's saying is that this index called Dow Jones, which contains 30 stocks, by the way, when people say the market went up today, the market tumbled today, they actually typically mean the Dow Jones. And the Dow Jones, like I said, only contains 30 companies, where the global stock market contains something like 12,000 companies. So when you talk about the market and you're only talking about the Dow, it's not exactly a representative sample. So that's just a little piece of information, a little POI there. What she's saying is that she's tracked for 3 years the Dow Jones going up more than other indexes and down less than the other ones. So she's making that mean that the Dow Jones is a better buy. It goes up more and down less. Okay. So sounds reasonable. It is a perfectly reasonable attempt at active investment management. And I've talked about on the show the difference between active and passive management. And so when you look at stock market patterns and you attempt to make conclusions about past history, especially the last 3 years, and extrapolate for future results, you are saying, I am smarter than every analyst on Wall Street, every mutual fund manager, every finance wonk, every investment guy and gal. That's what they're all doing. The most powerful computers in the world have been released upon the history of returns of the stock market, and they are looking for patterns. And every which way, every system, every pattern, everything they could possibly try has already been tried. Okay? The stock market is random. And even though looking at 3 years of history of the Dow Jones, by the way, to be totally honest with you, I don't even think there is a Dow Jones. I don't think you can buy the Dow Jones index. So it's kind of a funny question. I mean, the S&P 500 is one of the most common indexes out there. almost every account I look at people's statements all the time, has an S&P 500 index fund. And some of the companies in the S&P are also in the Dow Jones, but that's neither here nor there. So what she's fundamentally asking is, I've looked at this pattern of returns. I think I see something. Hillary, what do you think? And my answer is, au contraire, mon frère. So it's tempting.
Love that.
It is tempting. However, that's not how we invest. So let's back up a little bit. And I'm not singling out Chrissy in any way. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people have made this same mistake. But what you need to know is that the stock market prices are currently comprised of all the information that's already out there. All publicly available information is what comprises the stock price. Stock prices change on surprises. So when there's new information, that's when stock prices will change. And we have no idea whether the Dow will go up or down vis-a-vis the S&P 500 index or an emerging markets index or a European index or anything like that. So that's my answer to that question. Do not fall victim to the siren song of market analysis.
Nice.
I was nice, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I have a feeling that well, no, I'm not even going to say that because I don't know. Didn't she say in the original question that it was her and her boyfriend that did this analysis?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't pull that off of Facebook, but maybe I missed it.
I don't know why I think that, but something in my memory says that she was telling us that it was her and her boyfriend that were doing that. And I was going to say, that's a very male thing to do. But nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. Again, men feel more comfortable around investing. They feel more confident. They feel more secure. Rachel, we're seeing this with some of our 50K Wealth Multiplier Experience coaching program ladies is like, despite results, we've got some folks in there who are millionaires and multimillionaires, and yet they still say, I'm not good at investing or I'm not good at money. So it's just it's not a stereotype, but it is how men versus women typically are. Okay, I'm going to take my foot out of my mouth. You go right ahead.
Moving on.
Yeah.
I think we've got another question from Karen. I think it's the same Karen, but it came from Facebook, the Facebook group as well. And that question is, I am a recent college grad, 2016, and working as a full-time nanny and love my work. I make a decent living and hate spending money. So I was able to pay off my student loans last October. Awesome. People are always asking me why I have a master's in education and working as a nanny, but it actually aligns with my passion and education and love the one-on-one experience I get when I work as a nanny. My only thing is, I do get pretty envious of people who have matching contributions with their company employers, whereas I don't have that option. I have a Roth IRA that I maxed out for 2017, and I'm scheduled to max out 2018's in June. When this happens, I would still like to continue contributing that same monthly amount toward retirement somewhere else. Is a taxable brokerage account my only option? I'm a household employee of the family, so I can't legally file a 1099.
Yeah, when you are a W-2 employee and your employer does not offer a 401k, unfortunately, you are pretty much limited to the $5,500 annual contribution limit to either a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA, which is what Karen has selected. And I do recommend a Roth for most people if possible. And unfortunately, the fact that you're a W-2 employee means you can't really contribute anywhere else. So the only other option is a taxable brokerage account. If you were a 1099 employee, so some options are, if you can get the family to let you go 1099, and yes, Karen, I'm aware of the tax implications of that. I'm just simply talking through this for folks' education. But if you can go 1099, then you could open a SEP IRA and you can put away 25% of your net business profits for the year. Or if you can maybe you can find a nanny organization and go under their umbrella as a W-2 employee, and they offer a 401k. I have seen that. So that's an option. If you can look around for different employment sort of setups that will allow you to be W-2, which I know is the law as a household employee, you have to be a W-2, and get them to offer you a 401k somehow.
Perfect. I did not know that, that you have to be a household employee and have a W-2. I wasn't aware of that. Good to know.
Yeah, full-time nannies, because they don't have other businesses. So a contractor is supposed to be someone. So if you're a copywriter, you work for 6 or 10 or 15 different businesses, but nannies just work for one business, one family. So they have to be W-2.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. All right, next question. We have Amber. This was emailed in, and here is the question. I'm 22 years old, and I graduated from college in December 2016. Since graduation, I've been working full-time as a legal assistant, and I recently obtained admission to law school where I'll be starting in August 2018. I understand that law school is a significant financial commitment, but I've decided that it's the appropriate next step for my passions and professional goals. Now that I've been accepted, my primary focus is securing scholarships that can help fund my legal education. I'm coming to you for advice on how to be most tactful and efficient with my finances as a law school student who may have to take out student loans. Some ideas I've heard in the past include invest a portion of student loans while in school and pay on my interest as I go. I'm hoping that you can offer even more valuable insight on how to attend law school without being overtaken by the financial obligations.
Yeah, I have a friend who was in nursing school, and she came to me and said, my boyfriend told me to take some of my loan proceeds and invest them in silver. What do you think? And I said, dear God, don't do that. And the truth is, with silver, with a commodity, a precious metal like silver, prices can be super volatile. So let's say you put $1,000 into the market and you're hoping to get $1,200 or $1,300 out of it, and you end up with $45. Well, that's a world of hurt, right? The truth is, if she put her loan proceeds into an S&P 500 index fund, it could lose. In 2008, the S&P 500 lost 45%. So she could lose half, more than half. Well, no, that's less than half, slightly less than half. And that's a big deal. No, I do not think that you should invest your loan proceeds. I think that that's a strategy born of the recent 8-year bull market. I think that people are overconfident. They think the market always goes up. And so, you put your money in, you get 16, 18% returns. That's one thing. What people don't think about is that you then have to pay capital gains tax on all those positive returns. So, go ahead and lop off 20 to 30%, depending on what state you live in. And that's not good. And that would be good. So that you'd still end up with, a net 10% reward or award. However, what if we go into a decline? What if we have a 10, 15, 20% decline or more? Well, now you have law school bills. You need to buy books. You have to pay tuition. You have to pay your rent, and the money's not there. So I think that's a terrible idea. Student loans are to pay for school, and you should use them to pay for school. And the design of the law school experience is that it's expensive to go to law school. Keep your expenses down as much as possible. I think the best way you can be efficient with your money is to not buy clothes and minimize your food budget. I mean, that's what students spend most of their money on. Maybe, I don't know, if your law school is an expensive plane ride from home, maybe you're going to have to see your family on Skype or get them to pay for airfare, right? It's these kind of lifestyle expenses that really run people up. Honestly, the best thing you can do to manage your money well while you're in law school is to graduate at the top of your class and make darn sure that you get a job at a top firm. Look, like it or not, it's way easier to get into law school than it is to get a great law job. And everything follows the Pareto principle, 80-20. 80% of lawyers make, I think, $65,000 a year. It's like ridiculous. And you can never pay your loans on that kind of wage. So, I mean, I would be very conscientious with the career, what do they call it? Career center? The organization inside the school that places people in jobs after graduation. And I would say, I need to know the average salary of your graduating students. I need to understand what these people are being paid. I mean, I just know Santa Clara Law School here, it's 20 minutes from me. What I was told is if you were top 5 in your class, you got interviews at top firms with the same firms that the Stanford's right up the street, and it's much more prestigious. I mean, Stanford Law School has a much better reputation than Santa Clara Law School, but Santa Clara is a good school. But if you're top 5, you get interviews at the Stanford firms. And if you're below 5, that's it. it's like you make $65,000 a year and that's it. And I may be exaggerating the salary, but
no,
yeah.
it's not an exaggeration. I've seen it so much with family members and with just, friends and stuff that have gone to law school expecting to come out of school with a great paying job, and it's just not there.
Yep.
It also depends on the practice or the way that you go and what type of law you study.
It sure does. All those things matter. I think what you do in between your first and second year and second and third year matters. All of those things. So, Amber, my top advice to you is be a very, very conscientious consumer of your law school education. I tell people in my wealth coaching program when they're considering investments, start with no and investigate to come to a yes. So when you're selecting your law school, I would definitely start with no. And I would look at all the most important factors that are going to get you a very high compensated job so that you can pay those loans off when you get out of school. So best of luck to you. And may we never cross paths professionally. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
The lawyers.
Oh, dear. Well, I think that's excellent advice, and just really being conservative. That I remember my sister was married fairly young, and right after getting married, they moved for medical school. And the very first orientation that they had in medical school was talking about financial aid and student loans. And one of the biggest points that she walked away with is, if you're taking out a student loan and you go and buy a Snickers bar, that 90 cents or $1 you paid for your Snickers bar, expect to pay $100 by the end of time. And at the end of the time you're done paying your schooling. It's like, is that Snickers bar really worth that money? And my sister's like, I don't want a Snickers bar ever again.
Never again in my life.
They lived, very, very, very conservatively and had 2 kids, but they're out of school now and are really benefiting from the fact that they were very conservative. So I think that's great advice.
Yeah. All right, good. Next question.
Perfect. We've got our last question is from Tiffany, and this is from the ProfitBoss Facebook group. And just a reminder, everybody, you can always add your questions in there using the hashtag #AskHillary. So here is Tiffany's question. Tax planning and legal loopholes. Creating money goals. I've got short-term goals, eliminating debt and having a robust nest egg. But when the debt is gone and I have funds to cover expenses, when I have a slow month in real estate, I'm not really sure what the next step is besides saving for retirement. The challenge for me is that I don't want to wait for retirement to do the things I want to do. Typically, it seems people work 30 years, retire, then do the things they've been waiting for, like travel or volunteering. I don't want to wait for those things. So I want to plan for how to build wealth now to allow me to enjoy life, but also plan for my life when I'm much older. So maybe topics like investment strategies for those types of thoughts.
Perfect. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I see in this question some themes that I heard or read or thought for the first time when I was reading Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Workweek. And, he had a line, or maybe it was a whole chapter in that book, that basically said, for most people in life, we take our healthiest, best years and we toil away, we sort of slave away to put away money so that when we're aged and tired and sick, now we can travel and do the things that we want. And he said, the heck with that, right? I'm gonna do the things I want to do now. And whether that's, I work hard for 3 months and then play for a month, or, now I'm sort of off in abstract. I can't remember exactly what he said, but I read the 4-Hour Workweek, I don't know, maybe a decade ago or something. But but I think that's something that she's kind of speaking to.
Right.
And so how to pay for that? And I hear this question a lot. It's like, well, how can I invest for a vacation, or how can I invest for the life I want now? And the truth is, money comes from one of 2 places. It comes from investment earnings or wages. So there's no magic there. And when you put money in the market, we have no idea what's going to happen in the short term. So I tell people money has no business in any kind of stock market investment if it doesn't have a 5-year lifetime. So the answer to your question is really, what can you do to earn more money? So you can save it in a savings account. You might choose to do some CDs, which are short-term timed deposits, a 6-month CD or a 1-year CD. But in terms of short-term investments, because interest rates are so low right now, there just really isn't anything interesting. I mean, even if you were to get 5 or 7% on a short-term investment, which I don't think that you can do right now, you're only talking about turning $100 into $105 or $107. It's like not really a big deal, right? So unfortunately, the answer is, and did she say she's a real estate agent?
Yes.
Yeah. So you're lucky that you're a real estate agent because real estate agents can make a lot of money. So you should hoof it, work your little tail off, make a bunch of commissions, keep your lifestyle expenses super low, save 20 to 25% for taxes, another 20% for your financial freedom, your retirement years, and then save every other penny that you can so that you can travel. And as a real estate agent, you make your own fortune. You can take a month off or 3 months off if you want to. Now you're going to lose some deals. And once you start to close a bunch of deals, you might start to like that feeling of having your bank accounts all filled up. But, that's your choice. So ultimately, if you're not working, you're giving up the opportunity to make money. So you have to make that choice. I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks and I will probably miss some appointments with some prospective clients. And I know that it might cost me a client or two. And I just accept that. It's like, well, I could stay chained to my desk for the rest of my life working, 8 to 7, or I can have a great life and I can meet the people who I do get to be in the room with a big smile that's genuine, and I can have a life that I love. So I get it. We get a lot of questions about balancing comfort, joy, recreation today with financial preservation or, fully funding your financial future. And it's the same. The advice is the same. You keep your expenses low and your earnings high and save a lot of money. That's it. There's no magic.
Love it. So easy, but yet so difficult.
I know. And people are listening are going, Hillary, more easily said than done. Well, You know what? If that's what you're saying, I want you to change your money operating system because everyone listening to this show can and should be a high earner. So I want that for you. And that's what this podcast is about. Also, Tiffany, just occurred to me, if you keep listening for about 30 seconds, we have upcoming, which I introduced at the beginning of the segment, but upcoming is a WalletHub study about the best airline rewards programs. So you should definitely be using a points credit card. Make sure you're super responsible with that points credit card. Maximize the points or free rewards that you get. That can be cash back. That can be travel rewards, hotels, airlines, lots of stuff like that you can spend those dollars on. And also, there are airlines that offer rewards programs. So if what you want to do is travel, you can get a lot of money back, so free money, by maximizing these programs. And ultimately, if you are one of the people who uses that credit card for thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars of purchases every month, and then pays it off and gets your points and never keeps debt on the card, then you are winning, my friend. #winning.
Love it.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, again, always go to ProfitBoss Facebook group and use #AskHillary, and we will love to feature your questions on the Ask Hillary episodes.
Thanks for being here, Rachel. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of Ask Hillary. I'm pleased to introduce to the ProfitBoss Radio audience a wonderful sponsor, creditrepair.com. And if you've got anything but beaming pride about your credit score, I want you to give them a call. CreditRepair.com can help make sure that there's nothing on your credit report that shouldn't be there. I can tell you from personal experience, though, full disclosure, I didn't use CreditRepair.com, but I can tell you Credit Repair works. It worked for me, and I now have a near perfect credit score. Visit their website at CreditRepair.com or call 1-833-333-2282 today to learn more. Most financial advisors think that unless you have $500,000 or maybe even $1 million or more to invest, you're actually more trouble than the time it takes to help you. I have a huge problem with that notion. You aren't a number. You're a person who has real financial goals, questions, and dreams. For those of you out there with less than $500,000 to invest, have you found yourself stuck with a financial advisor who only tries selling you insurance or annuities, where it's obvious that you're nothing more than a commission to them? Or how about a robo-advisor that offers no personalized attention? Wouldn't you love to find someone who actually cares about your financial success? Someone who wants to know why you're investing in the first place? Well, I have good news. Ignite Investing now offers you personalized financial planning and advice, a professionally constructed portfolio, financial accountability, and a custom wealth plan so that you can make the most of your money, as well as connect you inside a community of investors who are goal-oriented like you and who are committed to achieving financial freedom. If that sounds like what you've been looking for, then we'd love for you to apply by visiting igniteinvesting.com and clicking on Get Started today. Well, I'm popping back in here for a quick introduction of our guest. Jill Gonzales is speaking on behalf of WalletHub, who provided the data for today's Best Airline Rewards Program segment. Jill is a consumer finance expert and a research analyst. She has appeared in the NBC Nightly News, Fox Business Network, Wall Street Journal Live, and C-SPAN's Washington Journal, and her take on consumer finance has been featured in publications like the New York Times, Washington Post, Fortune, and Kiplinger. I hope you get lots of value from this segment. Jill, welcome to Profit Boss Radio. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so first, let's make sure my listeners are all on the same page. What is the difference between a frequent flyer program and an airline credit card?
So the difference here is that you don't necessarily need a credit card when you're joining an airline program. Most of these big airlines do have some type of program. You can pay for them however you want to. It doesn't have to be a co-branded credit card. So that's the main difference here. I think most consumers might think that they need a credit card to use miles. That's really not necessarily the case.
And so if you're a member of the frequent flyer program, you get rebates or credits for buying airline tickets from that airline. And if you have the airline credit card, then you can get rebates on all your purchases. Is that right? Although it's a much lower percentage.
Exactly. So typically on those airline credit cards, you'll get maybe anywhere from 2 to 5 miles back for every purchase you make through the airline. So obviously on actual flights, on anything you purchase on board, whereas everything else you might get 1 to 2 miles back for any other type of spending.
Okay, perfect. So let's get right to the good stuff. Which are the best frequent flyer programs out there?
The best right now, Delta Sky Miles is number 1. After that, Mileage Plan from Alaska Airlines is number 2. And then Hawaiian Airlines comes in at number 3 with their Hawaiian Miles.
Okay, wow. And so what are some of the features that WalletHub rated the programs on?
So we looked at a number of things, different perks, and most of these programs do have very similar perks, or at least the same categories, but they all work pretty differently here. So, of course, the first is just bang for your buck. What are you getting in terms of your spending? For every X amount spent, what are you getting in rewards? We also looked at partner coverage. So a lot of these things, especially if you can't redeem for miles in time, have partners that you can redeem for. Maybe it's magazine subscriptions, maybe it's other subscription services like Netflix, etc. So the partners were another thing looked at. Restrictions like expiration, the dreaded blackout dates were also looked at here. And finally, any additional features or policies like retroactive flight credit, award ticket, cancellation fee, transferring miles between accounts. So we took a pretty holistic look at this.
Seems pretty comprehensive. What is a typical discount? I notice, there's wild fluctuations in airline ticket prices sometimes, and then it seems like sometimes you can get fantastic deals with points. So what's a typical discount on airfare that the rewards programs give their members?
So as far as that reward value, Hawaiian Airlines offers the most. So you essentially get $20 back for every $100 spent.
Wow.
Alaska Airlines, a close second, again, almost $20 per every 100 spent. a lot of the budget airlines like Spirit, Frontier, JetBlue, Sun Country, you're obviously not going to get as much back, usually only $5 to $10. So there is certainly a big difference, as you said, in rewards value.
Right. I used to have a Southwest Airlines credit card, and their typical round trip airfare is $200, and you have to spend $16,000 to get a travel voucher. And I thought to myself, that doesn't seem worth it. So, I read something really interesting in the WalletHub study that airline miles cost, if you buy them retail, an average of 62% more than they're worth when purchased rather than earned. Does that mean we should try to do all of our travel on points?
Well, obviously, if you rack up enough points, then that would be worthwhile. I think where the airlines get you, and the point that we're also trying to make here, is that a lot of times, or it seems like almost every time you book a flight now, you get a subsequent email that says, you can buy more points with your trip and get 10% off or up to 30% off sometimes. And that might not be necessarily worth it. So that's what we're trying to kind of make here, is that the points that you earn are going to be a lot more valuable than those that you buy.
Perfect. Right. I've never understood why they don't provide a conversion. They just offer you the opportunity to buy points. And it's like, well, what's that worth? I don't know. So I always click no. What are the worst programs out there?
As far as those that are actually purchased, we see the most upcharge. So you said an average of 62%, but on a place like Spirit, Frontier, the markup is almost 80% on those purchased miles. So again, definitely be careful. I think we're kind of out of season. We tend to see that the most in Q4 when people are trying to get rid of miles, or when people are trying to gift miles, and of course, just traveling is a lot more heavy in general. So That's something that's good to know. Overall, though, the worst programs, and we did look at the top 10 domestic airlines here, so just in terms of money spent, the bottom three are Sun Country, Frontier, and Spirit coming in last.
Wow. Okay. So stay away from them. And I think there are some airlines who are really clamoring for customers and members. What are the airlines that are offering more rewards in 2018 than they did in 2017?
Yeah, about 4 of those 10 largest airlines are offering more rewards this year than they did last year. And they're not just increasing those rewards by a little bit. A lot of them increase the pot by an average of 20%. So the ones that are offering more this year are Delta, Southwest, United, and Sun Country, just by a little bit. Others are relatively the same. Only a couple, included Spirit and Frontier, actually decreased.
Okay. And you mentioned blackout dates. Nobody likes to not be able to use their points. What are I think I read that there's only a few airlines that still have blackout dates in their frequent flyer program. Is that correct?
No, there's only a few airlines that don't have blackout dates. Most do. 7 out of these 10 still do. So that's another thing. I mean, I think that's what people tend to dread the most. And we are seeing that many blackout dates are increasing. They used to be, during maybe the peak season. Now they're starting to be on fringe season, and then started to be on, kind of all year round. It was hard to know what was blacked out and what wasn't. But it's good to know that, United and Alaska, as well as Sun Country, do not impose those blackout dates.
Okay, good to know. And then I thought about my listeners who might tend to accrue points, and maybe they work really hard, or they just, for whatever reason, don't vacation very frequently, and they struggle to use the points. So which are the programs that have points that don't expire?
As far as the not expiring, this is where it gets a little murky. So only Delta and JetBlue don't have miles that expire because of inactivity. So those are the only kind of major 2 airlines that do not expire at all. There are a handful that expire after 24 to 36 months, 12 to 23 months, 3 to 11 months. So that's where you really have to kind of do your research, because the last thing you want to do is earn all these miles and not be able to use them. But if you're on Delta or JetBlue, you know that you're in the clear.
Okay, great. And it really seems like, and I noticed WalletHub had a custom calculator on the survey site so that people could figure out what's the best program for them. So all of this said, I think you would agree that there isn't one program that's best for everyone. Isn't that right?
Absolutely. I think that's the one thing that consumers might mistake here is that, oh, I heard that's the best. It must be the best for me. But that's not necessarily true. I mean, if you're a true frequent flyer spending upwards of $7,000 a year on flights, then one program will be the best for you. If you're average, you're spending less than $5,000, might be a different program. And if you're a very light flyer, you're spending under $500 a year on flights, then you can bet that that frequent flyer program will not be the best option for you. So you definitely want to know how you're spending, your flyer profile, if you will. That will help you gauge which of these to really enroll in.
Perfect. Thank you so much for helping us out here at Profit Boss Radio. We appreciate your time.
Anytime. Happy travels.
Today's episode of Profit Boss Radio was brought to you by Ignite Investing. If it's time to release all that financial anxiety and make sure you're on the right path to financial success by hiring a comprehensive wealth management team, and you have between $25,000 and $499,000 to invest, go to igniteinvesting.com now and click Get Started today. For today's show notes, visit hillaryhendershot.com. And if you love Profit Boss Radio, please share the show with your friends and, of course, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Until next time, I wish you much prosperity.